And a good morning. Welcome back, everyone. We have Captain Cork back on the show today. We were cut off yesterday due to a power loss, so we're very fortunate that Captain Cork agreed to come back and give us a little more insight into the navigational operations of daily life and how it matters to all of us, and how we could use the wisdom of an ancient sailor to kind of put us back on course in our days. Welcome back, Captain Cork. How are you today? Well, I'm very good, Greg. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Now, Captain Cork, I'd like to follow up. Yesterday, we started getting into the important parts, the good parts about this whole flat Earth, ball Earth, say, confusion. And it becomes quite apparent to me the more I hear you speak. It sounds like the Copernicus ball Earth, the spinning is quite complicated. I do agree. The flat Earth operation is simpler, and it's simply that's how we operate. So, as a sailor, as a navigator, you do not need to know that the Earth is curved. No, Greg, we do not need to know. It's not a part of our calculations. If we're going from point A to B, there's no such. It doesn't matter. And if the subject is brought up, it's just nonsense for us. I mean, it's nonsensical. There's no measurement. It has nothing to do with our bearing. And so, if we look into psychology, if we're operating and we want to be efficient, why are we going to talk about something has nothing to do with anything other than to create confusion and chaos and an argument? Because I see today, even on YouTube, they can't acknowledge that the operations of mankind is what's true, right? Instead, they'll put this red flag up saying, "Oh, this is an archaic thing," and I mean, I have heard theoretical scientists now, say that talking about flat Earth is a thought crime now against humanity. Can you imagine? See, it seems to me that entropy is the number one thing to keep people down, you see. And if you listen to, I don't watch much YouTube now. I'd like to make a strong point of that, because there's too much nonsense. And I'm the kind of fellow where, I like to keep my thought processes clean and straight and ordered. I'm a very geometrical person. And I have to say, I mean, when I'm on land, I'm part of a construction crew. I'm building, or I'm designing, laying out, and then if I'm on the water, I'm charting course, and I'm trying to keep things straight and true. So the operations of life and how you're surviving, that's what's straight and true. So I would reiterate and emphasize that the spinning ball, if we were to try to follow that, we'd all be dead and gone. And it seems like that's where we're going. And it seems like we're pretty much all dead in our minds, if you know what I'm saying. We're a bunch of zombies. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing. And so that saddens me to see, if you look at the state of humanity, they're defenseless as as operational the persons. And when I say persons, I say through operations, because you have your person through sound. And then I want to bring that into correlation with my parallel rule. Now, if you don't know what a parallel ruler is, it's what a navigator uses, and he goes to what's called the Rolls Cross on the map. Now, do you see in front of you here, there's an old navigational map, and I wanted to show you what a Rolls Cross is, and I wanted to point out a few little things that that might pique your interest. Now, there was a group you might have heard of, say, involved in conspiracies, called the Rosicrucians, you know. You see, and you might see that they wore a red cross on their suit as they rode across the land on their horses. But let me tell you something. You see, they've taken an ancient emblem and they turned it into something of a masquerade, where it becomes something that people are afraid of. They've put a veil over it. But the Rosicrucianists, now listen to this name now. It's about the Rolls Cross. It's got nothing to do with anything. In actual fact, it's about the operations and the layout and the navigational truth. From a navigator's perspective, it's about a Rolls Cross. Now, what a Rolls Cross is, and I'm going to show you this in as much greatest detail as I can, because you deserve it. And that's my point. You know, the intelligence of a human being deserves respect because of what it is. And so unfortunately, there are devils on this earth, and they're out to do one thing. They're out to take your time and your energy. Do you understand what I'm saying? See, if they get your time and your energy, they'll start with your mind. And if they can take your mind, then they'll get all your time and energy. See? And then they'll tell you that you got debt and you got to pay him back. See, that's the devil. See, he's the debtor. And it's all fake. It's all fiat. So let's get into the Rolls Cross. Now, on the map, if you can see here, Greg, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it. And then we're going to overlay our parallel rule upon it. Now, this is an ancient map. It was drawn out and it was used, and I'm going to say this: it was how the world was travelled and explored and mapped. Now, any of you, young folks that might say, "Oh, Captain Cork is full of shit." Listen here, I'm here to tell you, you would not be here if Captain Cork did not navigate. You're here today now, all messed up and disoriented, and now it's time to get back on track. It's time to get back to your roots. It's time to lay out the rule, and it's time to find out where you are and where you're going. And that's the whole point of this whole thing. And it's as above as below, as within throughout. And don't kid yourself. The axioms are true. Now, in the center of this map, you see it's what we call a nodal point. Now, standing waves of sound in science will have the same nodal points, and they're stable. It's a stable framework. So here you see there's a nodal point in the intersection of a Rolls Cross, we would call it. And so what we would do is, there's several of these all around. You see, this is so that we don't drift. This is so we can always go and we can take our parallel rule and go back or go to the nearest Rose Cross to find out where we're going according to the degrees to the North Star. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, Captain Cork, I am following what you're saying, and it makes complete sense to me. I don't know about anybody else, but the questions might help us understand how to explain this in greater detail, and why, in fact, this is so important to talk about. Well, yes, Gary, I'm very happy to see that you do sense the importance of this. Because, everything is turned into an entropic profanity. You see, entropy is when things get spread out and we don't know where it's come from anymore. You look at astrology now today, and let me tell you, you would almost think, by looking at the astrological community, that astrology come from some kind of a whimsical, mystical place, probably in the corner of a closet of a young girl's bedroom, right? You got all these pretty little girls out there talking about astrology, and they're talking about it as if, they're some kind of authority. But in fact, what astrology is and what it comes from, it's pure navigation, and it comes from the operations of mankind and his survival throughout the seasons. So he had no other way, you see, but to follow the patterns. So everything is a pattern. You yourself is a pattern. Your person is a pattern of sound, in case you didn't know it. Once you're done living and you're on your deathbed, you get to have a chance to look at your own Rhumb lines in your travels. See, we're laying out a chart in our life, and you don't know that, of course. But at the end of your day, you could possibly get a printout of your chart. You can get a printout from one of these little girls on the internet of your birth chart, and they'll show you. They'll ask you where you were born, when you were born, and then they'll give you a little drawing of your birth chart and your signs. Okay, so that's your what they call natal chart, and that doesn't have anything to do with navigation now, does it? See, it's a natal. See, it's all about maritimers' work. And there's lots to talk about, because the power. You see, the ancients developed agriculture in the beginning, and they had so much that they had to start shipping it south. So the power comes from the north. And you see, the greed. Let's just talk about Caesar for a minute. I remember Caesar, and you see, when Caesar discovered where all the riches and the wealth was coming from, he had to try to follow the ancient masters back to their heaven, where all this gold and treasure and wealth was coming from. But please now understand this. Navigational operations were secret. The Celtic cross, which was an instrument, which became the sextant and the astrolabe, you see, they didn't know how to use the Celtic cross, so they had to penetrate the science. So eventually what the Romans did was they built a road, and they bypassed the sea routes. So then they went up and they corrupted the heavens, we'll say, or the northern regions, where everything, the civilization was highly developed. So what they did was they sunk it. Do you understand what I'm saying? That makes complete sense, Captain Cork, and I am on board with what you're saying. Well, thank you, Greg. Now we'll continue now. So now the Rhodes Cross was found in the ancient maps, and it has nothing to do with curvature, no matter what they say. Even if you go and you ask artificial intelligence and you say, tell me now what a Rhodes Cross is, and explain to me what the Rhumb lines were and why there were so many Rhodes Crosses on a map. And what you will find is that artificial intelligence will try to inject the curvature in there, and then you'll say to artificial intelligence, you'll say, now why did you talk about the curve? When it has nothing to do with navigation? And artificial intelligence will reply, you're right, and you're right to stop me right there, because curvature has nothing to do. And if you go further into the conversation with AI will admit that it's a distraction and it creates nothing but chaos and confusion. So there you have it. You can read between the lines. The whole thing is an intellectual psyop. True operations and survival of mankind and finding your heart and your center comes from pure operations, pure calculations, pure geometry. Now let me tell you, I'm going to show you a little bit about my own operations in my daily life now, because I'm no longer on a sailing ship, as you might think. What I am right now is a soul on board of a vessel that's walking around with 2 legs and 2 arms. You see, that's my vessel. But I still go to my Rhodes Cross every morning and every evening to tune myself to set my parallel rule to the north. Now I'm going to show you me mantra and understand this. Now this is my Rhodes Cross from this morning, and it's measured. You see, the day is ruled by the name Saturn. Now in the name Saturn, you have to understand, it's not about the planet Saturn, it's about the mnemonic Saturn. A mnemonic is an energy word that has, it's like a capacitance. So you think about Saturn is the 6th day of the week. Now you have to understand that Saturn is, if you're charging a battery, Saturn is the saturation period. Now tomorrow will be Sunday. Sunday is the rest period because we got a full charge. Now in physics, in the operations of physics, there's no such thing as a negative charge. There's only charge and discharge. When you're full, you've got to discharge. And that's the way that energy goes, you see. It's like, you see, what rises falls. It's like sometimes I just got to strum a chord on a guitar and sing a song. I can't hold it, you see. For me, that's the way I am as a human being. I get inspired. You're right. I'm saturated with inspiration, and I'm like, give me a guitar, give me a flute, give me a fiddle or something. I don't care what it is. I got to sing a song. I got to discharge. So I tend to discharge in that way. I discharge with a great song or a sea shanty because it's still in me blood. It's in me bones. And so this is how I'm operating. Now this morning, I did my mantra, and these mantras are based on the 7 coordinates of the days, and they're written in heaven, just like the Master said. The Master said, rejoice, look, your names are written in heaven. They're astrological, natal, nautical. Do you understand? It's a nautical science. It's a nautical geometrical science, not I'm really hoping that I'm getting this through to you, because this is so relevant It's very relevant. Still today, we're navigating. We're still mariners. And in your body, in your mind, you've got a full crew. So to keep your crew ship shape, you got to put them in tone. You got to go back with your parallel rule. Go back to the Rose Cross. The Rose Cross is to be found at sunrise. And then at sunset, you're going to go to your Rose Cross again, and then you're going to go to your rest place in your bed, and that's like the Sunday. You see what I'm saying? So every day, every second, every minute, every hour, everything is a revolutionary cycle. You have to understand, all things are one thing. You're a traveler. You're a time-space traveler. Your soul is a water. Your seamanship is your consciousness, is your seat. You're at the wheelhouse in your consciousness. So you've got to go back to your bearings once, twice a day. There's your red seal right there. It was done. This is called the Gleason's map. The black in the center is your dielectric. That's where you go to your rest, into the center. That's your Sunday. And we can go very, very detailed into this. But of course, how do you compact and unpack everything in a little podcast? You can't do it. You can't do it. So here now, I will show you the Rose Cross on the Gleason's map, because it's more, eloquent in its speech. It's hard to bring language into the speech that's common to every mind. That's the challenge. That's why they wrote children's stories. That's why, let's just say, the Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf and Little Red Riding Hood and Pinocchio and all those stories, and Jack and Jill, all those stories, if you come back to it, they're astrological stories that has to do with the stories that's written in heaven. If you follow the zodiac and the signs. The signs are powerful mnemonics. You see, every month, according to the operations of man, he stored his memories in the signs. And the signs, they sing. They sing of history. And that is his story. And so you got to understand, you have to have some form of humility to use the master key. Do you understand? See? Understanding is an operation of humility. Sometimes, like if you got your back up against the wall because somebody's telling you something different, then you're going to remain stupid and you're going to remain lost. So until you can go to your center and give your head a rest and empty yourself of all the bullshit. See, the bullseye's in the center. The bullshit is on the outer edges where it's ripping and tearing at you. That's where all the stress is. But if you can bring yourself back into the center, back where you can get your rest, or reorientate yourself, that's where you can bring yourself back on course as a mariner, as a soul. Your mantra is the same value as your soul. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm telling you the truth. Now, let me show you now the Rose Cross of the mantra that goes on the Gleason's map. Now, as you see, as I'm bringing it into focus, you see how that Rose Cross overlays on top of Gleason's map. Do you see? Understand that? See, all the signs are around there. Everything is relevant. And the lines that you're seeing, they're the Rhumb lines of the soul. Do you understand? It's so important. And the operations of the soul, see, you're going back to your Father, the Father in heaven. What's the Father? You see, according to the Son, according to the Sonos, which is the sound that you have your person through. Understand that now. Persona, that's through sound. And when you go back to your father, the father, see, is the feminine alpha singular. It's reverse. You got to turn it upside down, inside out. It's the father is going to receive you. It's the pattern that you've laid out through your life. The father is the star that you come down here to be. You be that through what you say can create through your patterns. And this is where your free will comes in. It's not about what kind of car you got, or what kind of house you're living in, or what kind of shoes you're wearing today. It's about that pattern that goes outward from your heart. You see the red circle here? That red circle is a symbol, a subconscious symbol of a red seal. Now, if you went and wrote your papers as a carpenter and you become a journeyman, what does journeyman mean? It means that you can journey. You've got freedom. You're free-willed builder. There you go. That's me dryer. My sea blankie is dry. Actually, it's Bruno's blankie. He's my sea dog, and I likes to take care of him because he's a good boy. Now, getting back to this. Now, the red seal. Now, the Gleason's map is a seal. And it's like Solomon's seal. You see, people think otherwise. They're misled. If you understood that Solomon's temple was a temple of the mind, and you could go further than that, you could say, what was the measurements of Solomon's temple? And God come down and he said, no, Solomon, I'm going to give you some measurements for you to build a temple. But you can't use any chisels or iron or anything like that. And Solomon said, okay, what's the measurements? What's my rule of thumb? How do I build this temple? Well, God said, here's your measurements. You got, the first measurement was 60 cubits. The next measurement was 20 cubits. And the third measurement was 30 cubits. Now, you see, the key, the Solomon's key is 6. It's a cube. It's a packet of sound. The cube is a unit of sound, which is 6. This is like the 6-day week, and then you get a day of rest, where you can unwind, unfold it, and see what you got. Reorientate yourself, and you see, if you take cube and you unfold it, you see a cross, and then you got a center. Then you've got your rose cross on the cross that you've unfolded from your cube. You've unpacked it. You see, you're carrying your box through the week, and then when you get to Sunday, you unpack. You unpack your box, and you redistribute. Get prepared. You lay out your bearings. You say, oh, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. See, on the Monday when I discharge into the voyage again, or onto my journey through the wick, right? Because the wick is like a wave of fire. Noah's Ark is not an old wooden boat. It's a wave of light. See, even the measurements of Noah's Ark is according to the harmonics of a candle flame. You didn't know that, did you? But they're perfect. It's a perfect according to the geometry of the sine waves and the lengths of the light in the candle flame. Now, this is revolutionary information I'm telling you here. I'm not just telling you a story, but I'm talking about operations. And these operations of me telling you these stories is an operation of kindness. I'm taking time out of my day to share with you the light and the wisdom of the operations of the history of where we come from and how we got here and how we're going back. You see, above and below, within and throughout, it's all the same. It's all the one thing. Now, see, in the morning, I wake up. Even in saying that, in the wake of the day, the passing, I am glad. I get joy in my heart because I've passed. When you pass your tests, what happens? You're good. If you got 100%, you're exceedingly happy, aren't you? Yes, because you've passed. It's a passing. We're passing the test of time, and each day comes your report card. And with that, you go in the wake. In the morning, it's a good morning. You're happy for the passing of the day that has been a ruler. So you've gotten past that. Now it's time to go now to the next wave. Now, if you're heading into a storm as a sailor, you want to keep your nose into the wave, square on. That's what you don't want to get hit broadsided. You don't want to be broadsided. You understand that cliche? That's a mariner's cliche. Keep head on into the wave. So the week is a wave, and you are yourself like Noah's Ark, and you're going through it like a flame. You understand? You're going to cut through that iron like a hot flame. See? I know you're getting it. I know you're starting to understand. See, a nautical chart is your natal chart. But now you're rewriting that through the patterns because you're becoming your own star. You see, you're laying out your Rhumb lines, and you're returning to your father, which is a star, which is a pool. And you've got that key to get in that pool and swim. But you got to swim in harmony, in resonance, because the best ships were made in accordance to the ratios of the waves of the sea and of the ocean themselves. You understand? You see, the Blue Nose was the fastest schooner was ever made. She could cut through the waves because she was made like the waves herself. She was invisible to the waves. The waves didn't even know she was there because she was made just like the waves. You understand? So in these waves, in these formulas, you see, information is a formation inside of a circle. And if you're drawing that circle out from your heart by the rules and the pitch of your heart, you're going to come out with something good. If you're going to your Father in heaven, you're going to your pattern in the song. And if you're going to go by the rules, like the Master said, the rules of your names are written in heaven, you're going to go clean and you're going to cut through the waves. And you're going to go 365 days a year with no fear. Fear not, 365 days. And how would we know that the Master Mariner himself that told us to go out and come back in the way, what was he saying? He was speaking from a navigator's perspective. He was telling you to go out according to your cross, your rose cross, on 72 degrees by 2. Now, come on, let's shake our head now. We went to school. I'm sure most of you has made it past grade 5, because that's all you need to get this science. 72 times 2 is 144. Now, forget the zeros. In navigational terms, we're talking about degrees here. Talking about operations. We're going out and we're learning this new pattern. We're learning this new star. The Father, you see, is the pattern, is the star in the heavens or in the song. And I'm talking the geometry, the gemstones of the word. See what I'm saying? See, everything is written in code. And there's no way for me to make this up. If I'm using my parallel rule to go and to read the King James Bible, or to go to read a nautical chart, or to go to read the rocks out in the field, or the stars in the sky, I'm using my parallel rule as above, so below. So I've got my course charted now this morning according to my mantra. You see what I'm saying? I've got my red seal. I've got my mantra. Now look here. You want to see a rose cross? I show you a rose cross. Now in this mantra, But if you went to sonosgematria.net, you can get all this yourself. You don't really need to listen to Captain Cork, but I do enjoy helping you out. Now watch this now. You're going to see there's a guide here to lead you. Imagine now this is your ship's wheel. How can you grab the ship's wheel of the husk that you're in? See, you're a mariner. You've got a natal chart, yes? That means you're a mariner. It's a nautical chart. So you're going through your life as a sailor. Now, how do you grab your ship's wheel? You grab it by tone. Your voice is your hand in heaven to take the wheel. Now watch, I'll go begin. Now watch this figure 8 come out, and that's where you're breathing in. You're breathing in. And then you go out. Go out through pursed lips. And you can set the seconds, you see, and set the time. And now, you see, look, can I make it bigger for you? Do you see? And that's your rose cross, going back to the point. You see the rose cross? The rose is the flower of life being centered on the cross that's orientated 0 degrees. Now, we'll stop this now, because I've already done my mantra this morning. But this is the Saturday morning mantra. Stop. There you go. And so everything is relevant according to the soul operations. So you got to understand that these mantras and this work is relevant to your dead end, because for the sake of this vessel, you're going to let go of this vessel when you reach the other end. And it's a dead end for the body, because the body's going to go back to the earth and it can have it. But when you're going to step your foot onto the shore, your light is going to go on another path. And I can show you that as well. Because I was shown that. And it's quite a wonderful story. I got to put that cross back on the point again now. Because it has to do with the footpath of light that I was shown. And this is a good way actually to prove this work. Because I don't want to sound mystical. I like to draw things out according to the tangents and the true operations of geometry. I like to cross the cross-reference using as many cross-disciplines as I can. I like to use music. I like to use math. I like to use geometry. I can use the Christian Bible. But you see, we have to understand, that the Christian Bible is a transposition, isn't it? Yes, and where the Christian Bible comes from is a transposition of natal charts. You see? So in order to keep it clean and pure, we may as well just stick to geometry and the navigational procedures of an operational system. So if you want to get back to the smallest, the most briefest book that was written, that's written in the 7 days. So you can imagine, there's 7 pages in the original book. And that's primary. And that's the easiest book to understand. Now let me bring this one back on course now. We'll see. Did I get her nailed? Oh, near got her nailed, I did. Well, see if we can get her right nailed, right dead on. Almost. We've almost got her nailed. Now, if you look here, see if I can't zoom this in a bit. If you look here, I'm going to bring it straight in here now. Do you see that? No. This Gleason's map, you see, was laid out according to the geometry of operations. And if you go from the center of North America here, there's a rose cross right in the center of that continent. And then if you go from the center, that rose cross, maybe I'll draw this out for you tomorrow morning so you can have a greater idea, because I can do that. Now, if you go straight through the North Pole, pass over the death period, that's what it is. See that block right there? That's where you go to your rest. That's the rest of the days. That's on the Sunday. Just go for a little rest. That's what you need. And that's where it all comes together as well. It's quite marvelous, actually, when you look at it. How it all so perfect. It's amazing. It's amazing to me, actually, that this whole system has not gone viral. But it's the cognitive dissonance that prevents it from going viral, because human beings are so saturated. It takes a lot to get your attention. And I'm not lighting myself on fire just for that. No, but if you go from the center of North America through the rest period, out, down through, and in through Sri Lanka, there's a place that the four religions all agree that that's where Adam, the original man, first put his foot. And so if you return back, if you go then back straight through the day of rest, the period of rest, every 7 days you go to the period of rest on your period, and then you go down to the center of North America, that's where another foot is. And there's a building there, it's called the Human Rights Building, and it's made like spiral. It's made, it looks like an abstract tree. It's got big roots, and it's got, it looks like there's a serpent going around it. And if you go inside on the bottom floor, there's a foot that's cast in the floor, cast in, cast out. It's the story of Adam and Eve, you see? And so the whole thing is about bringing yourself back into coherent structure and understanding the navigational procedures and operations of the heart. Now, I'm Captain Cork, and I'm going to go now for today because I got a busy day myself. And if you want to, you can go to the sonosgematria.net, where I've created the Rose Cross mantras. See, you can go back. You can go back to the original places, and you can discover the Garden of Eden, and I can even guide you to where the fruit is. The fruit is the cross. The fruit is 444. The fruit is the energy of the master. The fruit is the tantra of the master. He's the maestro too. Yes, he plays perfectly. So you don't understand the wealth of this information that I'm sharing with you. Understand that now. Look, it's one of the most famous, well-known stories in the world is Adam and Eve in the garden. And God said, don't touch that fruit. You leave that fruit on the tree, because that fruit is the energy, it's free energy. And as long as you leave that free energy on that tree, you're going to have bliss. But you see, they had to go and take it off and eat it. You see, they consumed it. There's a secret in this world. And if you're able to tap in to the law and the physics even of resonance, You can go out today understanding how everything is alive and living from one thing through the simple laws of resonance. The fruit that's on the tree is still there. You see, because everything is mental. This is all a dream. If you can wake up in your dream to a lucid state and understand that all you got to do is tune yourself back to the resonance of the fruit. What is the fruit? The fruit is the key of the master. The master is there with the key in his hand still. He never went anywhere. You were disconnected through telemetry, the television, or through the radio. The radio is how it radiates outward from the center, dislocating everybody. Because it's all about a tuning off or on, off. You see? They got the switch. Light don't travel. Light is turned off or is turned on in that which carries it. Now you got to understand that you got a light in you. The only way to turn it on is to begin to resonate. That's why I've created these mantras, because it has the ability to turn you on. Alright? I'm not saying that in a profane way. Turn you on within your heart, within that fruit. That fruit was not eaten. That was just a story. That fruit's still there, waiting to be turned on. How do you turn on your fruit? Well, you gotta go touch the key of the master. Who's the master? Who do you think? Who do you think? It's the master of energy and power of 444-462 energy power. Fruit, element. Think about it now. I'm not going to tell you. You can figure it out yourself. That's where you begin to resonate. Because once you discover the secret of the fruit, of the garden, of the Eden, of where you go to get your rest, of what a dielectric is, why are you going to die on the cross? It's where your energy goes to store up with the Father in heaven. It's where your energy goes to meet the resonance of the greater, more perfect pattern. That is a pattern that goes and comes. It's perfect. I can't tell you how perfect it is. I'll turn it on again. Watch this mantra. Gematria.net. I've created this website, this app, I should say. There's your rose cross going back to the fruit. Watch it. Look at it. See? You see that figure 8 coming out? That's your consciousness right there. You see, consciousness is a looping infinity. And then the rose cross goes like it's entropy going back to one point of rest. When you have coherence, you have rest in your mind. If there is incoherence, you're unrest. You're unglued. You become unglued. Right? You become a nut. Yes. You go nuts. What's that mean? Well, it's all in the forms. And it's perfect in its harmonic sense. Now, if you can't sing, don't worry about that. The Father loves to hear your intention to become the practice. Don't be ashamed and don't be afraid to practice. Everybody can sing. It's in you. See? Do you see what's going on there now? There's tones, and these are binaural. I've designed these so that they're binaural. Hear that? Ooh. That's called relative pitch. Pitch is an angle. Pitch is a direction, you see? Outward to the Father. Upward, inward. That's how it is. And in the evening, see, look, here, show you the Rhumb lines of the evening. This is the navigational Rhumb lines of your evening mantra or of your evening soul. And it's the soul is the same value as your handrail that your stairway to heaven needs. Now, you see? See that? That's your Rhumb lines for your mantra this evening. You're still a mariner. You're still a navigator. You still got in your pocket a natal chart. It's a nautical chart. See, you might be confused about the terms on the land. That's still maritime terms. English are the terms. That English is the energy of the fruit. The master created the English language from the Angles, yes, from the Anglo-Saxons. I'll be gone now. Thank you very much. I'm Captain Cork. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for having me on. As always, Captain Cork, you just blew my mind. Thank you very much. I'll see you again. Bye for now. Bye. Go to sonosgematria.net and get on your mantras. I could turn this off. Bye for now.